What's up? What's up? Haha, we are live. How you guys doing? Happy Thursday. Uh Freezing cold out. Bitcoin's still over 60,000, so that makes me happy. So today's video is by special request from my friend Rich. Awesome comment, man. You're right. He asked me yesterday, how do you buy Bitcoin? You talk about it all the time. How do you buy it? So this one's for you, buddy. All right. So how do you buy Bitcoin? Well, there are a lot of different ways. Okay. And there's easy ways that I think anybody can do. And there's more complex ways that, take a little while to learn. So we're going to go through them all. So I want to start off though. So if you're thinking about buying Bitcoin, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of things out there. It's used for terrorism. That's all a lie. Bitcoin is not anonymous. Okay. No matter what they tell you, it's not anonymous. The blockchain is a public ledger of transactions. There are no private transactions. The whole world can see the entire chain. It's a blockchain. That's the name. Can see every transaction. They can track the money. All right. It's pseudonymous, if that's how you say the word, right? It's like private a little bit, right? It's not like, but they know, they can figure that out. And the government's very good. So, so we're going to start off today. All right. You have to understand, after 9/11, they came out with KYC, know your customer. Okay. So all of these methods that I'm talking about, you have to go through know your customer. So it starts off, they know who you are when you buy it and they can follow the chain. So when you have people like Elizabeth Warren, who's building an anti-crypto army, and she puts out this messaging that Bitcoin is used by terrorists, blah, 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 blah. Listen, a bag of cash, United States dollars, is anonymous. If I handed you a bag of cash right now, they might know that I took the cash out of the bank, but they have no way of knowing what I did with it. And that is why CBDCs are such a hot topic for these kind of people right here. Okay. So don't believe what she says and people like her. It's just, they're working an agenda and it's not for you. But all right, so let's get into it. Now the good stuff. All right. So how do you buy Bitcoin? So the first way, most of you probably have a brokerage account already. You buy stocks, your 401ks. Here's three big ones: Fidelity, Schwab, E-Trade. There's a million of them. Okay. So if you go into your brokerage account, you can buy Bitcoin ETFs. Okay. So these are some of the ETFs. I have two slides. I'm going to tell you the two most important things you got to know about ETFs. Okay. That's the easiest way to buy Bitcoin. Anybody who has a stock account that's ever bought a stock, it's right there. You can do it. You can own Bitcoin. Okay. These ETFs are exchange traded funds. They buy the Bitcoin, they hold it. Your fund tracks the performance of the Bitcoin. That's it. These are what came out in January, what we've been talking about, what's driving the market, what's creating the new demand for the limited supply. It's these ETFs. So the two things you got to know. Number one is the most important thing: the fees. That's it. You should not overpay for fees. There's 9 of them that just came out. So you can see right here, Franklin Templeton. So this is the symbol. I'll leave this on a screen for a second if you want to screenshot it so you can do some research. So this is Franklin Templeton, EZBC, 0.19%. Bitwise, 0.2. ARC shares, 0.21. iShares Bitcoin Trust, this is the BlackRock one, 0.25%, right? Van Eck, HODL, 0.25. The rest are all 0.25, right? Fidelity's FBTC, Wisdom Tree, 0.25. Invesco, Valkyrie. And then you have this one at the end, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, 1.5%. Why would you buy that? Don't buy that. There's a whole story to Grayscale, but really all you need to know is don't buy it. Okay. So the fees are what's most important. Okay. Now, the second thing, which is a small consideration, which one of these do you buy? Honestly, I don't really think there's a difference to any of them. Obviously, BlackRock's the 800-pound gorilla. Fidelity's the 700-pound gorilla. Some of these have a lot less, but at the end of the day, they're all regulated. They follow the same rules. I don't think it really matters which one you buy. But if you're in Fidelity and you're moving your money into Fidelity and they give you a deal to buy theirs, which is the FBTC, the Fidelity Bitcoin Fund, then buy that one. Do you know what I mean? So that's really it. The fees and the, if there's any incentives on your platform to buy their one. Okay. Now, another thing you can do if you want to invest in Bitcoin and you want to go out a little bit, out the risk curve, right? On the same brokerage accounts, there's publicly traded companies that are Bitcoin proxies. I call it Bitcoin on steroids. Again, this is not beginner stuff. All right. So, just beware. I'm not telling you to buy this stuff, but do your research. If you want to get a little more gains and you want to, you can do it. So, like, for instance, MicroStrategy is a technology company that has Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They own 193,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin moves 4%. MicroStrategy will move 8%. So it's like a little bit of extra gains, and it moves the other way too, up and down. All right. And then CleanSpark is a Bitcoin miner. That's one that I like. I have, but again, I'm not saying to buy it. Do your research. If MicroStrategy is doing 8%, CleanSpark's doing 16. All right. So these are just like, if it's your thing. If you're into it, you do it. If not, but really, beginner 101, buy the ETFs. Okay. So for me, just to show you full disclosure, this is what I have right here. All right. So I try to keep my proxies, right? These things. I don't own any ETFs, right? I just own regular Bitcoin. Nothing against the ETFs. I just don't own them. In my brokerage accounts, I own the proxies. So, it's originally my proxies were 10% of my Bitcoin, but as I said, the proxies move a lot faster than Bitcoin. So they're a little bit higher, 28%. My Bitcoin's 36%. I have some other crypto and Tesla. So some of you might judge me on my bag, but that's all right. And then here's a screenshot from Fidelity. Very simple, right? Same way you buy a stock, you can buy Bitcoin. All right. So stocks and ETFs, you would put the, whatever account you're buying it in, your 401k, your regular trading account, you would type in the symbol, FBTC, IBIT, whatever it is, buy or sell, the quantity, if you're doing a market or limit order, preview the order and buy it. That's it. Very basic. I will say, and one other thing, I use Fidelity. That's why I'm kind of a little dialed in with them. Fidelity does also have Fidelity Crypto, which was kind of intriguing. When I signed up for Fidelity, that was one of the reasons why I went to them last year. But I don't know. I only ever bought, it's a very niche thing, right? Supposedly you're buying real Bitcoin. I don't know, but you can't take it off of there. So I think for all intents and purposes, if you're just starting out, just buy the ETFs. It's a lot easier. Okay. So and then one other thing, if you have Vanguard, I don't know why. Maybe they're big fans, big donors of Elizabeth Warren. I don't know. But Vanguard was very adamant that they were not going to sell Bitcoin ETFs. I don't know why. They lost a lot of business last month when this came out. They refused to do it. I don't think that your brokerage should be telling you what you can and can't buy, right? They are a middleman. They're like, that's it. It just is what it is, right? If it's publicly available, they should present it to you and give it to you in a format that you want and negotiate on fees. That's it. So I don't know. A big slap in the face to Vanguard. I used to be with them a long time ago. I left them not because of this, but I don't know. They're losing a lot of people. It was a bad decision on their part. But hey, it's their business. They can do what they want. All right. So the next way to buy Bitcoin, again, this is where you can buy real Bitcoin. Okay. So if you don't want the ETFs, you don't want the proxies, you want to buy Bitcoin, real Bitcoin. It's called Fintech, right? I call them Newfi apps. All of us have these apps, most likely. Everyone's heard of Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, right? So you can buy Bitcoin right in those apps, right? Robinhood is actually a brokerage, so you could buy the ETFs and stocks as well, but you can actually buy real Bitcoin in Robinhood. Strike, Swan, and Fold are other platforms. So these are like on your phone, you go in there, you can buy Bitcoin and you store it in those apps. Now, what I will say with that, don't keep more on there than you're willing to lose, right? Because, when you buy an ETF in a brokerage account that is insured, right? I think it's SIPC or something like that it's called. So if Fidelity, for some reason, goes bankrupt, you don't lose your shares of the ETF. If you have your money in Bitcoin on Venmo and you own real Bitcoin in your Venmo account and Venmo goes bankrupt tomorrow, you could lose that Bitcoin. Trust me. I may or may not have learned this lesson. So, so buyer beware. So when you're buying, but you're owning real pure Bitcoin in these apps, right? And these apps give you the ability to move that Bitcoin off those apps. Okay. So that's a key thing. So if you want to get to a point where you want to do self-custody and you want to get to Bitcoin, doctorate level, like we're going to talk about later on in this video, then this is where you would get your Bitcoin. Now there's fees involved and stuff like that. They all charge different fees. You got to research it. But, there's some advantages. I use Cash App for my debit card. Every time I buy something, it rounds up and I get some Bitcoin, and I buy it like that. And then I buy chunks in there. And then when I get a certain amount, whatever your threshold is, then I move it off. But there's fees to move it. So, you have to weigh that as well. But yeah, so NewFi app, second way to buy Bitcoin, very easy. Okay. One thing I will tell you, none of these are Bitcoin. All right. So when you log in and you see Bitcoin Cash is only $305 and Bitcoin is $61,000, you're like, oh, it's Bitcoin. It's not Bitcoin. Don't buy it. Bitcoin SV is not Bitcoin. Ethereum Classic is not Ethereum. Litecoin is not Bitcoin. So if you see these in those apps, just skip right past them. Garbage. All right. All right. So the next way you can buy Bitcoin is on a crypto exchange. Okay. FTX. I'm sure you've heard of that whole saga with Sam Bankman-Fried. We thought they were a great exchange. I mean, they had, arenas named after them. The umpires had the logo on their shirts. But yeah, so again, be careful with crypto exchanges. They're not insured. There's risk involved. You still have to KYC and all these things too. You have to show your ID, verify your identity. That's all these platforms. You have to do that, right? A lot of exchanges are banned in certain areas. The only two I've used Robinhood in the past. Really, I buy my Bitcoin on Cash App now. I just find it easier, and I just move it off. It's just because I like the way that the money doesn't, like when you put money into Cash App, it's available right away. I can buy Bitcoin and move it off right away. Robinhood, you got to wait a few days. Kraken, I'll use that like when I buy Solana because you can't buy that anywhere else. So I'll use that for, very rarely. Coinbase, I've used, like with bigger buys. If I want to wire money in and buy something, I would do it on Coinbase. Not a big fan of Coinbase, though. I got to be honest. They started a lot of people into crypto. They got a lot of people to buy their first Bitcoin. I was using them in 2017. And, but I'll tell you lately, I don't know. I'm just not too impressed with them, but they are, I think they're a pretty solid exchange. They did go down yesterday and crash the market, but that's another video. All right. So we got the ETFs and stock proxies. We got the NewFi Fintech Apps. We got the crypto exchanges. Now, what's further out the curve, right? If you want to go deep, they have Bitcoin ATMs. Right? You've seen them around. I think there was one in Seabra. I've seen them in like little convenience stores around. So what's a Bitcoin ATM? Basically, you walk up with cash, you put it in a machine, and it sells you Bitcoin. So, there's an app. Some of them have apps. Some of them, you can put a wallet address in and it'll send it to you. If Bitcoin's 61,000, it might cost you 66,000 to buy it out of the ATM. There's always a spread. In exchange for that, it is a little more anonymous, right? I think one of them that I looked into, you just needed a phone number. So really, I guess you can get a burner phone or a Google Voice number and use that. Again, no, you don't understand how they can track this stuff. And that's what kills me about her and her crew and what they say. Like, they're really good at following the blockchain. If you've ever interacted with a wallet, they can track that. Like, it's not anonymous fully, but Bitcoin ATMs offer a higher level of anonymity than an exchange or a fintech app or something like that. And then you have peer-to-peer, excuse me. So you can go on websites, you can buy Bitcoin directly from other people. I could give you cash, you can move your Bitcoin to my wallet. That's a way to buy Bitcoin, right? It doesn't have to be on an exchange. Like, you can't buy Tesla stock off of your friend at the grocery store and give him cash. It just doesn't work that way. But Bitcoin is peer-to-peer. So this is far out, like expert level ways to buy it, but you can do it that way. All right. And then the last thing in Bitcoin, like I said, I may have learned some lessons over the years. I definitely have. But there's a saying, not your keys, not your coins. Okay. So, when you have your Bitcoin on Cash App and Cash App goes bankrupt tomorrow, it's not your Bitcoin. It's gone. Do you know what I'm saying? You're trusting them to be good stewards and protect your money. FTX did not do that. A lot of people got hurt by that. So not your keys, not your coins. So if you get to a point where you're buying Bitcoin and you're buying real Bitcoin, you got to learn how to self-custody it. And that's where these wallets come in. This is, one of the wallets I'd recommend, the Trezor Model T. There's a lot to wallets too. I can make a whole video on wallets. But basically, when you can get to that level and you're self-custodying it, that's the true intent of Bitcoin. If you believe in what it stands for and all the things we talk about and a hedge and all that, if you can self-custody it, you're your own bank. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that. But yeah, so there's a bunch of different ways to buy Bitcoin. From beginner level to expert level. There's other ways on top of that. If anybody's got any questions and you're thinking of doing it and you really want to know and not make any mistakes, talk to me. Comment below, contact me. I'll definitely help you because I've made all the mistakes. You don't have to. All right. Good luck, everybody. Let me know if you bought any Bitcoin and you've never bought it before and I inspired you to do it. I'd love to hear your story and kind of how it went. All right, guys. Take it easy. Enjoy the day. Stay warm.